Springtime is an excellent time for us beekeepers to go through our hives and kind of assess the population size of each one. For the most part, the majority of our hives are going to be of equal strength in a yard. They're going to be doing pretty good. Then we're going to have those that are kind of weak. They just maybe barely made it through the winter time and into the spring. Then you're going to have those few that are just doing crazy awesome, and you know that the rest of your hives could be at that level. That's kind of what this video is all about. I'm going to be taking you through this apiary today and showing you how I equalize my brood so that before I hit my first spring nectar flow of the year, I'm going into it ideally with equal strength in my apiary. So stick around. When it comes to equalizing, that's something I haven't always done in my bee yards, because to be honest, the thought of taking brood from my really strong hives and sharing it with my weaker ones kind of makes me nervous. I want to make a honey crop, and I feel like if I'm taking away from my stronger colonies and giving to my weaker ones, that I'm making my strong colonies weaker. I'm going to take you through though the process anyways. You'll know why it's actually changed my mind, so that now I definitely equalize colony strength throughout my apiaries. It's a very simple 3-step process, and I'm going to show you those steps as I go about doing it myself. The first step is easy. You go through each of your hives and you assess on average how many frames of brood each hive has. For example, you might go through and find out that the majority of your hives have 2, 3 to 4, so let's say between 2 and 4 frames of brood. So they're on their way to growing. And then you find that a few of your hives have maybe like 6 frames of brood. And then you've got a couple that are struggling. They might have 1.5 to 2 frames of brood. Those are the ones that we're going to be wanting to focus on in helping boost so that we equalize that strength throughout the apiary. The second step is going to involve what I call playing Robin Hood, where we rob from the rich and give to the poor. And the third and final step that I'm going to show you by the end of this video is actually doing it, and which frames of brood to do it with. You can't just take any frames of brood when it comes to equalizing the strength in your apiaries to boost colonies from your stronger ones to your weaker ones. You've got to take specific frames so that you do it right and you have the most success, and your bees thrive and do well for you and make that honey crop that we all so dearly want. So here we begin step 1 of the process. I'm going to be going through each hive. Don't worry, you don't have to watch me do that. We're just going to go through a few here. You'll see me. And I get an idea of what kind of brood I've got going on. It's about the middle of March, which to equivalate that season-wise, we're early spring right now where I am. So that would be about the same for you, whatever early spring is for you. Maple and willow have been blooming. Some little flowers along the ground called henbit. And so a lot of pollen has been coming in, a little bit of nectar, and my bees have been slowly growing. And so I'm noticing even a difference from the last time I was in my hives. There's definitely more bees. There's more frames of brood, which is a good sign even for my small colonies. And right now, while I'm going through and figuring out what kind of frames of brood I've got, it tells me which colonies are going to be able to share if I need them to, and which colonies are going to need that extra brood from my stronger ones. What I end up noticing the most in this yard is that the majority of my hives are at about the same level as far as number of brood frames. And they're looking like they're pretty much around 4 to 5 frames of brood each. And in my opinion, any hive that has that many frames of brood this time of year is not going to need any help from a stronger colony. Okay, so that first yard did not need any help. None of the colonies needed any boosting from extra brood frames shared from stronger colonies. They're all doing great. So I've moved on to the second yard, and I'm pretty much going through and doing the same thing and seeing what we can find here. So as I speed up a bit right here, I'm going to show you the perfect kind of brood frame that we're looking for in order to share. See, I have not yet come across a colony that needed any help, but I have come across a colony that has an excellent frame of capped brood, which is our step number 3, to be able to donate to a weaker colony if I find one. Okay, so here's the hive we got. They still got some of their pollen patty left. You can see the size of the hive right here. They're only in about 4 or 5 frames. So I'm going to take this pollen patty up carefully and just put it to the side for now, upside down so I don't squash any bees on the bottom. Smoke the bees a bit, let them know I'm coming, start working my way inside. And here is that frame of brood I told you about. Just beautiful, both sides. The majority of the brood is capped. There's some open brood there with eggs and larvae, but it's primarily capped. And that's what's going to boost any of the colonies that we come across that are going to need some help. They're going to get reinforcements right away. Just look at that. That's wonderful. I have yet to come across a hive, though, that needs that extra help. So I'm going to just finish up this yard, see if we can find a colony that's going to need that extra boost. And if not, at least we know what we have now, we've gone through, and we know where our bees stand. And that's always a good feeling when you leave a yard, when you come away with a good report and a good feeling to know where your hives are at specific times of the year in each season. All right, so we've finished going through at least 2 yards today, and none of them needed that help that we were looking for and that I was anticipating. And that's okay, even though my job of the day started as one thing and my goal for this video started as a demonstration to show you guys how I equalize my hives. This is still good news, even though we didn't end up equalizing anything, because we found out that our bees don't need it after all. But I'd love to hear from you. Drop me one of these. Let me know how you equalize your hives if you do, and if you do it in any other method. I'll see you in the next video.